was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Amazon Answers. I am Jared, and today I'm talking about the G. Willow Wilson run for Wonder Woman, which I have 2 of the trades for, and this is one of the more recent Wonder Woman runs that I think needs more attention because of what it kind of does and starts, and like the trend it kind of continues. Because here's the thing about this. The interesting thing about the Wilson run is that it focuses almost entirely, and what's up, Cameron and Parker? It focuses almost entirely on just Diana as a character. It's not overly Steve focused, like a certain other run that we know. But the thing about this, and also the G. Willow Wilson run, for you guys to understand this, this is the run that broke up Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, because at this point, what's up, NJ? At this point, Diana and Steve have been back together for like about a year or so. They got back together in Rebirth, but at this point, it ended because what happens in this run. So in the first volume, The Just War, I'll hold that up to the screen so you guys can see and maybe pick it up later. Hell yeah, to that awesome Jenny Friesen cover. We have Wonder Woman teaming up with Ares, the god of war, because Ares shows up and goes, I want you to show me how to be a superhero and like how to fight for justice and such. And Ares stays as a hero for like as up until the modern times, until Tom King emasculated him. But with this, yeah, it starts off with Steve, and it's because like Steve goes messing in a country, so Diana has to go in and save him, which honestly is pretty cool. This incorporates Veronica Cale. This incorporates the gods, particularly like Wonder Woman. Essentially, you know who becomes a co-lead of this book? Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and that's really, really cool the way they do that. So that's this run. And it really does a lot of the redeeming villains trope really well. Then we have Love is a Battlefield, which focuses a lot on Aphrodite and their child. I can't pronounce the person's name because that's like really extensive. But it's even like Wonder Woman teaming up with like Giganta and such. And the interesting thing about this run, about this thing, is that this is where it's set up. So eventually what happens in this run, the key thing, is that Cheetah takes the God Killer sword and murders Aphrodite. And this causes a lot of love to be like eliminated from the world. So what happens in the story is actually I actually think I will pull this up because I think that this is kind of an important page to show. I've shown it before. Hey, what's up? What's up? Worried. That's a really long name, so I'm just gonna call you Worried. But because so what happens with the G. Willow Wilson run is that again she keeps it focused on Diana, and that is the key thing that we see multiple writers like try and fail to do, is because too many writers have treat Wonder Woman as a surrogate love interest, or like this is the character that I want to date and such, and then that's where you get a lot of self-insert love interest like Steve, as in the case of Tom King. But it's like if you actually focus on Diana herself as a character, you know what that leads to? It leads to Diana because that's part of the reason why that Diana, from what people think, doesn't have the extensive stories that a lot of other characters have. Now, is that true? No, it's not true that Diana doesn't have like that extensive thing. It's just because DC doesn't put the emphasis on her. But my point is, it's like they don't. It's because a lot of the stories, and DC doesn't stop these writers from doing it, focus too much on Anna Teladia was it could have been an interesting love interest. I don't think she was supposed to be they were supposed to be a love interest. NJ, they really weren't. But beyond that, it's like I'm trying to find this one because there was this one issue that did it. And I was like, ooh, this is actually very interesting the way you did this. Because I found out about this right when I got back into reading comics regularly back in 2020 is when I found out. Because when I left, it was the beginning of Rebirth. When I came back, it was this. And it is like, it's one of those like moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually did it. Yeah, they thought for sure though. Yeah, the character did for sure, and that was very interesting about that. And but it's like Diana's not interested in such. So I think it's either issue 80 or 81. So I'm gonna get there for that. So all right. So and it's like this is where I was like, oh, you actually respect Wonder Woman to say she doesn't need a love interest in order for her to be cool. And that's what DC really needs to do. They need to de-emphasize giving her love interest because that leads to the run like falling apart. That leads to Wonder Woman being neglected as a character. Sorry, that's just the way it works. Thanks for having Jason Lewis on the podcast recently. Oh, anytime. I love Jason. He's a cool dude. He'll be definitely on a few future episodes in the future. He said he wants to come back, so obviously we're not going to say no. So it's like you might as well. Let me see. I'm trying to find this one because it was before G. Willow Wilson. Okay, I think it's 79. Let me see. It was in G. Willow Wilson. Okay, here we go. So this is the run. So Diana's like knocked out, and she goes back to like her home in this run in which Diana came back to real Paris. I think it's either this one or like somewhat Rebirth, but I'm pretty sure it's. I just saw that page on there. So in this run, Aphrodite's dead, killed by the cheetah. So Diana sees the bags there. And remember, Diana's a superhero. Steve is a Navy SEAL at this point, so he understands not being able to put a lot of attention into like a relationship because it's like you're protecting the world. So this is what Diana says, Steve, you're not, you can't. And then Steve says, it's not just since Aphrodite. If you were around more, you have noticed that things have been rocky between us for a while. But now it seems like the last reason to stay is gone. Goodbye, Diana. I'll always care for you, but I can't keep putting so much of myself into this and getting so little back. I'm sorry. Steve is selfish. This is the panel where I was like, no. This is the panel where I started to grow to really hate Steve. For me, it's not a problem with Diana. The problem is using the love interest to send over life. Yeah, but with me, I think that they should take a break from giving her love interest to eliminate that temptation. That's my point. It's like, no, focus on growing Diana, which is one of the reasons why Absolute Wonder Woman is so great, because it's essentially like focusing almost exclusively on her as a character first. Isn't that a panel when Steve in the world is losing love? Yeah, but even he said it's like that's like it's even beyond that. If you had been around for so long, you would have seen that things have been rocky between us. So it's not just, he's saying it's not just that. But that's my problem. It's like you write Steve to be so selfish, considering the fact he's a Navy SEAL. So if anyone understands the thing of like of having to leave, of having to like be away from home for a while because the world needs you to do something, it's Steve. It should be Steve Trevor. I mean, isn't that kind of reasonable? He wants to spend time. No, but well, first off, he didn't marry Diana in this, but he's in a relationship with the superhero. Yeah, he has to. It's reasonable to a degree, but when he says you give me, he basically says you don't give me anything in return. That's where I'm like, shut up, bro. You're a dick. That was the point where I'm like, I really hate Steve Trevor. That was it. But beyond that, it's like, look, again, it's like, look, if you want to, I think for Steve, once upon a time, he was like the male lowest, but reflecting Diana's value and honesty, chasing dreams rather than super lowest kindness. Yeah, I really think that what they ought to do, if they reboot him, bring him back as the old man from the Perez run. That way you do not, you can de-emphasize him as a love interest, but have him be like more of like a older brother figure, because that's where Steve worked best. I really think DC should go back to like the what's the word? The status quo of the Perez Wonder Woman run, because that was like the best. And that's what this kind of seemed like it was doing. Plus, as you guys know, the best Wonder Woman runs, like a commonality of the best Wonder Woman runs that I've talked about on this show, on Super Wonder, on Wonder Woman Wednesday, is when they embrace mythology. And this does it really well. It talks about Ares, it talks about Aphrodite. All of this really, really, really delves into Wonder Woman as a mythological character. And it's a wonder why these are some of the most memorable runs. NJ, in my opinion, Wonder Woman's the 10 are at their best in a single. Yeah, exactly. It's like, let me put it this way, emphasize you. I'm not saying it's out completely out of the question to give Diana a relationship, but first give her like her own stories that focus just on her. Battle Goon says, I don't mind Steve as a love interest for Diana if they acknowledge Diana as the main character. Yeah, but obviously this one, this current run we're having isn't. It's a Steve Trevor run that has the Wonder Woman logo on it. That's what it is. That's why that's horrible. And this is awesome because this, to the point where they break up Steve and Diana, this emphasizes Wonder Woman. Absolute Wonder Woman emphasizes Wonder Woman. Phil Jimenez, yes, I got the omnibus, emphasizes Wonder Woman. Rucka emphasizes Wonder Woman. Even Azzarello emphasized Wonder Woman. So I'm like, guys, and plus, those are the award-winning runs, as opposed to the runs that are forgetful. The current run is not a Steve Trevor run; it's a Tom King. Well, yeah, that's true, but it's like it's gonna lead to, because in my time of covering Wonder Woman, I think that King has led to more people hating Steve Trevor than did in the past. And I'm sorry that's like the way it's gonna be. So it's like to the point where even like AIPT, when they reviewed the new Trinity issue, even they said none of the praises were about like Trinity per se, but the number one critique is the Steve Trevor emphasis is really getting old. And I go, yeah, that I could have told you that. That's the key. That's the key issue here. So how does Willow write the villains? The villains are complicated in this run, but they're also compelling. Cheetah's compelling. Ares starts off as kind of a villain-ish. Aphrodite's like offspring starts off as kind of a villain, but they really, but Wilson really knows how to write, because I'm not saying make villains completely irredeemable and not compelling, but Wilson really understands it. She understands Wonder Woman so well, and it's one of the runs that I really wish were talked about more, because there's so much that you could do there for the character if only they actually did something well with the character. It's really good. But I hope to read this run because I've been hearing good things about it. Yeah, it's only 3 trades. It's only I only have the first 2, but it's the Lust War, the Just War, Love is a Battlefield, and I think the last one is called Love Lost or something like that. But just they're very easy to find. It's really good. What I think I would love for writers to do is make more Wonder Woman villains that are obscure, come back as threats, like Mr. Blizzard, Paperman. Yeah, and not make them like let's say lackeys of like the main villain like the Sovereign, because that's what King claims to try to do. Or it's like with the Mouse Man, don't make him stupid, because that's what you kind of did with Mouse Man. You made him dumb. But it's like if you because there's plenty when Robert and I on his Pro Teachers New covered Wonder Woman, the 1 year later story, we kind of addressed that. I'm not going to go into what we say because that episode hasn't come out yet, but just check that out. If you want to see like a listing of all of Wonder Woman's villains, that book has that. It's like all of them come back, but it's really good. Osira once brainwashed everyone in the world, but Wonder Woman in the Golden Age, now she's a footnote. Yeah, there's plenty of great Wonder Woman characters that you can use. You just have to use her character. Do you like Cheetah in this run? Yeah, I do actually, because they treat Cheetah like a villain. Because here's the thing, Cheetah is... They kind of go into like Cheetah, because Cheetah murders Aphrodite. And this is around the time when Cheetah is also on the Legion of Doom. And she is like, and it's really like emphasizing that. What on earth is the Ringo Award and Chewie Award? No, I don't think so, because let's pay attention to that though, because it would be hilarious again if he loses another award. If he does that, we can call him multi-award losing writer. But it's like, it's nowhere near as big as like the Eisners, so don't worry about it. I highly doubt that if it won, that would lead to him staying on the book. I really doubt it. So, but let me put it this way: it can't hurt if he is forced to, if he loses that award. Let me put it to you that way. That's what I'm gonna give you there. I'm scared to ask this, but what are your opinions on Tom King's Mouse Man? How awful do you think people? Here's the thing, Battle Goon. I don't think people will remember this run ever. Here's the way I think it's gonna go. I've said this on Jim's on Weird Science. I've said this on all other shows. The way I kind of think about this is that years down the line, even a year after he leaves the book, people will be like, remember when Tom King wrote Wonder Woman? Yeah, he wrote Wonder Woman? Yeah. Was it good? No. Okay, anyway, moving on. No one will remember that. And honestly, I can't see so many. I cannot see DC keeping practically anything from this run, including Trinity. I really don't. Could I be wrong? Yeah, but am I fairly confident that they won't? I would say so. We'll certainly, like this way, time will tell what they do, because it could be that like they'll make it so this isn't like that, like she only exists for the story, and then move on. We'll see. But it's like, look, that this is what we're gonna be like stuck in, really. But it's like, again, could it be like it's going to be forgettable? That's what I'm going to say. It's going to be a forgettable run. If they have to do a small person story in Wonder Woman, I want Queen Atomica to come back. That works as well. Or even Queen Clea, because they brought her back in Absolute. That would be great. I would love that. Yes, the run is so bad. Many people will avoid like the plague it is. Oh, yeah. Even today, there are people that like want to get into Wonder Woman, but avoid the Tom King run like a plague. And that's the thing. They brought him on. Yes, some people are coming on, but those are just the King people that will follow any book that he writes. It's not enough for the book. So I really don't. I really feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like, nope, we're not going to do this. I kind of liked that King used some Wonder Woman's old films. Yeah, but how did he use them? Because he's not using them effectively or good in any way. Hope people forget that he made her slower. I think that people will ignore a lot of what King did. If DC doesn't retcon it completely out, it's telling that nothing in main DC canon acknowledges the King run like ever at all, because that doesn't necessarily happen. It's like when you look at the new 52, they acknowledge like the Amazons being turned to stone and such, but it's like no book outside of us have recognized that Wonder Woman has a kid, or that even Steve Trevor's dead. So that's the hilarious part about it. Queen Clea is a big person on like Atomica because Clea is taller and super. Oh, you mean like actually smaller? Yeah, you could do that. That's totally fine. I'd be fine with that. You don't use the villains correctly or make them super boring and don't know what to do with them. And yeah. Then many people will lose interest in the story because there are no stakes for the hero. Yeah. And also, when the other thing that's really bad about the way King used Mouse Man, the first issue where he introduced Mouse Man into his run, Wonder Woman beat him inside of 10 seconds. So there's no stakes. And I get the feeling, because here's the thing, Wonder Woman could fly through there, take down Mouse Man, and be done with it. It's like, and plus, here's why the mouse have ears BS is stupid. Wonder Woman could have them like grab onto the lasso of truth, and they could understand her. It's that simple. You can't. That doesn't work, guys. I'm like, any superficial knowledge of King's Wonder Woman of Wonder Woman in general would reveal that. That's what people have to understand about this. It's like, and that demonstrates that, and it's not just a King issue. He's just the most extreme example. There are a lot of writers that don't understand Wonder Woman. That's it. They just don't. She brought a baby into a war zone. Not only that, So she's charging at gunfire, holding her baby like this, practically using the baby as a human shield. What are you doing? I get what King is going for, and in the hands of a better writer, it could work. Maybe Mouseman is beaten as a joke. Years later, he's a big villain, but King does this due to needing men to be big. Yeah, exactly. I didn't joke when I said King thinks one of them is Captain America levels of power. Yeah, exactly. It's because also King changes characters based upon what he wants them to be or what's easier for him to write. That's the problem. It's like, no, you can't do that. Write the character the way it is. If you didn't know what to do with the character, you shouldn't have gone back to DC and said, you know what, I'll write her. But the thing with Mouseman is that he is a joke villain for Wonder Woman, a tiny guy stuck in the size of a mouse. Yeah, but he's not in this story. But anyway, back to G. Willow Wilson. Let's look at some art for the G. Willow Wilson run for Wonder Woman. I think that'll be fun, because she has a lot of great artists on the run. Chief among them, Carrie Nord, and then Zermanico also is on the book, and that elevates the book. Like, Zermanico is one of the best artists at DC. And if you want to Zermanico's work, look at the early Jeremy Adams run for Green Lantern, and he drew that. Queen Atomica and her people are like a piece of living evil atoms, which make Mouseman seem pathetic. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Definitely do that. That's a great idea. That definitely seems really, really cool to do that. Okay, for some reason, DC Online is giving me issues right now. Pun intended. Okay, I'm going to reload the page because it keeps not working for me. Okay, now it's actually working. But yeah, it's like with this run, with the G. Willow Wilson run, it's like it's hyper focused on who Diana is. And here's the difference. What Wilson did that King doesn't is she shapes the story to Diana, not shaping Diana to the story. That's the difference of these two stories. G. Willow Wilson was essentially like, okay, how do I make a good story for Diana? Not how do I make Diana fit my story? Because that's when you make her act out of character and like essentially undermine the character herself. But no. Wilson was like, I'm going to respect Wonder Woman and make her like the character she deserves to be. You know, someone brought this up already, but Diana bringing a baby into a war zone or dangerous makes zero sense. And okay, I need to show this because in the recent issue, it got infinitely worse. I'm going to show this because the only way that you can know how BS that is, Parker, is for me to actually show you, because there's something in here that I'm like, what the hell did you do? So this is how stupid and dumb this is. How there's no way Wonder Woman would do this. So look at this. Wonder Woman is holding her baby in her arms, and then we'll get back to the G. Willow Wilson one for sure. So she's holding her baby in her arms. People shoot at her, and she like blocks it, yes. But then she charges at the villains with her baby in front of her. Practically like she's using the baby as a human shield. That's what this looks like. And I'm like, what the hell are you? When I read this, I was like, see, here's the thing. This issue, as opposed to the last one, isn't straight up offensive. It's just stupid. Well, actually, no, it is offensive where Wonder Woman's practically using her baby as a human shield. Like, I'm sorry, that is gross and disgusting. And that she's going into combat, she wants both arms free. So put the baby, but maybe the baby's bulletproof. I joke. Well, they didn't establish that. And Wonder Woman isn't bulletproof because look at this. Wonder Woman, a bullet grazes Wonder Woman's head, and then she gets blood on her head. So Wonder Woman herself is not bulletproof. So I'm like, what are you doing? But I'm like, I get he wants to make Wonder Woman look like a badass. So she fights all these villains with one arm. But no, I'm sorry. When you're using a baby as a human shield, practically, that doesn't work. Particularly when you're depressed that Steve Trevor died. Because Steve Trevor died, you forced the Sovereign and they didn't establish that, worried. And here's the other thing. This is the run that made Diana make the Sovereign carve the word liar onto his chest with a dagger. Yeah, Cameron says, why not take Trinity to a babysitter? Like the Wonder Girls? Yes, it's established that that's what she did when she went to go confront the Sovereign in the White House. She left Trinity with the Wonder Girls. I'm like, do that. It just seems to me like King is trying to force Trinity to be a thing, because I get the feeling he doesn't think that like that's going to like work. But it's like King's Wonder Woman is not bulletproof. She can't fly. She can't use magic. She can't really do anything. Yeah, he's severely depowered Wonder Woman. Whereas opposed to, if you want to show me that Wonder Woman's awesome, let me show you. This will make you believe in Wonder Woman. Because it's like, even she has to teach the God of War how to be a hero. That is like one of the best things that this run has ever done. It's really incredible. What in like, I think it's like 25 issues what Wilson was on. In just 3 trades, this really killed it. This is the run where this is one of the runs that solidified to me that it's possible to write a kick-ass Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman is a freaking, you know what, I'm going to show you. Wonder Woman's a badass in this run. Let me show you this. So, would you trust in the babysit the Wonder Girls? Yeah, I would. Or Clark, because Clark has a son. He knows this, a superpowered son. There's so many different ways they leave Trinity with the Amazons. There's levels to how much BS this is. So here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. So here's the G. Willow Wilson run on Wonder Woman. This is absolutely freaking incredible. So, it's He Must Not Be Named. By the way, the covers by Friesen, so great. So we open here. She even uses Grail, introduces Grail, and Ares escapes. So Steve Trevor is like captured by like terrorists overseas. So these guys are about to shoot a kid. Wonder Woman pops up and just kicks literal ass. It's so badass. That didn't come first though. But King's Wonder Girls are dumb as hell. Donna's basically a naive girl. Cassie's a tomboy. Remember, Donna also gutted someone, gutted Solomon Grundy. Cassie fired on a U.S. Navy ship, and even though it was deserted, it still counts. And Yara robbed a bank. Yeah, she's an angry racial stereotype. Yeah, exactly. It's really, really bull BS. And well, would you trust in the babysit? Not King's version, yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there were special bullets made an element called Friend 2. Mouse Man works for Sovereign. It was established in issue 1. The Mouse Man, his mercs using that element to harm metahumans. I've never heard of that, NJ. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but you need to keep telling me that, because it looks like just bullets. Because you need to treat it like this is the person's first issue of your run. Oh, sorry. DC Online does this, but this is like what it's like. She fights Ares, and then Ares says, "I've returned to find you and to battle alongside you against tyranny and injustice." Imagine that concept, because at this point, Ares wasn't necessarily like a villain. He even said, as far back as the Jimenez run, that I promised you, I'm not going to use my powers to like destroy mankind. But imagine the God of War, who you would think would be like a straight up villain, would be like, I'm going to like work. I'm going to become a superhero. I want to fight alongside you. And this was kept forever, as far as I know, from then until now, when he was killed, because he's like, I'm a God of War. Look at all the bad stuff I did. That's why what King did in that 2-issue story doesn't make sense, because Ares never expressed this. All of a sudden, he like has all of this like trauma from that he all of a sudden expresses. I'm like, to me, Ares is still a villain. He can't just kill all of humanity. He just can't kill all humanity. But he didn't, though. But I see what you're saying there. But the fact that they tried that, I'm like, okay, that's something interesting. It's just to take it Ares that way. It's really cool. Yeah, it's like because you'd expect him to be the villain, but he's not. But I'm like, it's not. Let me put it this way: it doesn't have to last. But the point that that's like an original story, and I'm like, oh, that is honestly very, very, very cool. I really dig that. It's one of like the dopest concepts like I've seen in a Wonder Woman story, and it kept for like ever. If he has humans go to war and they're all nuke the world, you're no longer the gods. Yeah, no, I get that, and that's why I think he does that because he's like, if I destroy humanity, there's no war, and if you destroy war, I can't. That's why this is one of the good parts of Injustice. Ares fights against the like regime because he's like, yeah, you're creating peace. If there's peace, there's no war. If there's no war, I become weak. I can't do anything like that. So I'm like, that is the way that you do it. That's the way you really make things work really well. Yeah, King himself established an issue one, a special element called Frou Solvent's men used against meta. Yeah, let me see that. Issue one, NJ. I'm gonna look that up real quick because I never heard of that. But still, you can't just invent a bullet. Oh, these are magic. These are special bullets that can kill a metahuman. No, I'm sorry. Well, plus here's the thing: DC themselves have gone back and forth on Wonder Woman being bulletproof in the past. Like in Rebirth, she gets shot, so it's like, yeah, I kind of see what they're going for, but it's like, no, it's not going to work. You can't just change that. You can't just change that. It's really stupid. It's really stupid, and I'm like, no, that really doesn't work. Apparently, there are magic bullets to hurt Amazons. Yeah, sure. You don't need magic bullets to harm Amazons because not all Amazons are bulletproof. DC needs to pick. Yeah, that's the other thing, Battlegoon. They need to really like. Oh, I'm on the fence. With me, it's like, look, I'm on the fence with one woman with a shield. The bracelets are more unique. But here's the thing. With me, it's dependent threat she's facing. If she's facing an end of the world style threat and such, then yes, give her the sword and the shield and stuff. But it's like an average day doing superhero stuff where she doesn't need like straight up violence. Yeah, the lasso and the bracelets are totally fine. It's like it's hyper dependent on what she's doing. And she's a warrior, so she would pick the best tools for the job. Yeah, the whole women, yeah, they really need, because that's the thing about Wonder Woman. DC really needs to solidify that this is what the Wonder Woman like idea is. This is the basic tenets of Wonder Woman. It's like, here's the thing. It's like they did that with Superman and Batman. With Superman, it's like he's vulnerable to kryptonite and magic. You can make different forms of kryptonite, but kryptonite has to be involved in there. That's it. That's really the issue here. And I'm like, no, I'm like, that's the way that you're really going to work for that. So what do you guys think? DC needs to wait. Hang on. DC needs to solidify her mythos. Yes, exactly. That's why I agree. TMO, what's up? Off topic stream, but still, why does Superman have a weakness to magic? It's not weakness; it's a vulnerability. That's different. A weakness is like kryptonite, we're able to kill him, but like he can be attacked and harmed by magic. There's a difference there. But I think it's like because they don't want, because of how rare kryptonite kind of is. I say kind of because they've kind of tried to like undo that. But it's like you need other ways to add stakes to Superman. That's what that kind of leads to. But yeah, that's really what I got to go with it. It's rarely mentioned in comics. Well, it's because Superman doesn't really have a lot of magic villains. That's the thing. But it's like when it's introduced, when it's used, it's like when he fights like Apollo. That's why Apollo could harm him. When he fights like gods and such, like the Greek gods, they use magic as their power. So that's kind of where that comes from. But it's like that's the thing. Then I wonder why Kurt and other authors didn't realize that Thor is stronger than Superman with the help of Mjolnir magic. Yeah, but Superman has other stuff that mitigates that harm. Like he is fast. He is stronger than Thor. He gets his powers from the sun. So there are many different ways that you can roll with. I'm trying to remember if any of Superman villains have any magic, but probably not. Not really. I don't. As far as I know, Robert would be more of an authority on that particularly. They should state that foes using magical or alien or nth metal against her, they should make her bulletproof to regular ones. Yeah, yeah. It's like okay, that's fine. I'm like fine, but you need to make it. Remember the comic where the tattoo man pierced Superman's cheek with his magic card? Exactly. That's the point there. Or like when Wonder Woman's sword was able to cut Superman because it's magic. That's really where you get that from. Because there's like a lot of really there's a lot that you can do with magic that DC doesn't do, but it's like with Wonder Woman here. But it's like the other thing that Wilson did really well is also had her team up with one of her rogues. Like she straight up, I think it's either in this one or the next one. I think it's in Love is a Battlefield. Hang on, let me see here. They revisit a lot of Wonder Woman's origin and like time as a girl, but also Wilson has Wonder Woman like escort mythological creatures, and she teams up with Giganta. And I will say Giganta's drawn really well in this to fight this giant rock monster in like a quarry, and it's really really epic and grand scale. Like here, look at that. Look at how great that is. It's like you see that's what you really could do. Because Wonder Woman's villains, some of them are like Spider-Man in that they're not exactly like all of them are like victims of circumstances. Did you like Cat Wilson's first number? Who's Cat Wilson? I have no idea who Cat Wilson is. But it's like that's because a lot of these people are like victims of circumstances. Even here's the thing. In Love is a Battlefield, Veronica Cale's like daughter is kidnapped, and she basically begs Wonder Woman to go save her. And I think it's Love is a Battlefield, and you see like a more human side of who is the Black Cat. I haven't read the Black Cat issue yet, but that's the other thing Wilson did. She took these villains and humanized them. And again, it showed Wonder Woman's empathy. Because again, like I've said before, actually, it was in the Just War. Like I've said many times before, if Wonder Woman can help you, no matter who you are, Wonder Woman will help you. That is honestly the best part of Wonder Woman. That is what makes her the best character. I was thinking about this today. Here's the thing, and I touched on this with Jason last night. What is the reason why the Trinity has stuck around is because they each represent a portion of like what it takes to be a superhero. Superman being hope, Batman justice, Wonder Woman truth. But when you actually dig down further, Wonder Woman is the most important of the three because with truth, think about it this way. with truth, it leads to you can't really have hope unless you're truthful, and you're truthful in your abilities and such. And as we know, true justice is built on truth. So everything umbrellas off of truth. So really, when you think about it, you really need that. I only remember the first Wilson arc when it was well drawn and Rabbits and Maxwell. And the Rabbits and Maxwell. I don't think Maxwell Lord was in the first, because this is the first arc of the Willow Wilson run. I think what you're thinking about is the Tamaki run for Wonder Woman, which is that's an option to cover for sure. That's definitely an option to cover. Diana comforting Veronica, a mother, and promising her to bring her daughter back. That is Wonder Woman. Like, that is, if ever there was a page that shows who Wonder Woman is, it is that page right there. Because that is Wonder Woman's greatest superpower, her empathy and her ability to say, I know we've had our differences in the past, but I will help you. Because because even though you attack me all the time, we are sisters, and Wonder Woman will do anything for her sisters. That is the most beautiful thing about Diana. And that is what DC consistently gets wrong about her. And that's what makes her a compelling character. If they emphasize more on her empathy, they would get so much more support for the character. Like, it's not even funny how much they would really get with the character. Like, they really need to like hammer that down, because once they hammer that down, guess what that leads to? A hell of a great comic run. But so what else do you guys want to talk about before we wrap up real quick? I know this is a shorter stream, but it's because I got a lot of shows today that I'm going on. But so let me know what other questions you guys have, or like what other things you want to talk about. I hope Anna shows all of this in her movie. Yeah, that'd be great. Could Superman's weakness to magic be related to Merlin or the Spectrum back in the 50s? Maybe. I that's a good idea. That's a good point. To Mail. That's a really good point. I really like that. I really dig that. So what other questions before we wrap up? And then as far as next week's stream, I'm going to let you guys vote again on it. So let me go do that. And by the way, if you guys are interested, as you guys know, I am writing a comic book that's all done. It's currently on Kickstarter in pre-launch. So if you guys are feeling so inclined, you can go there and sign up to be notified whenever the book goes live. What do I think of Grail? Grail is one of the best Wonder Woman villains that's been created in a while, and she is Wonder Woman's reverse Flash, and more runs should show that instead of making her a lackey, because she is the dark reflection of Diana, and I love that. What do you think of the Willow Wilson run? I think, in terms of rating the run, in the runs that I've covered, it's in my top 5. I would say it's Perez number 1. Let's see, what else? Rocca, in terms of the ones I've covered. I'm pretty sure I've covered Simone. Gail Simone, Azzarello, and then it's like Wilson. So it's in the top 5, top 10 of fantastic Wonder Woman runs and stories. Absolutely great. So let's go to the polls, where I will be able to. I need Cersei and Grail team up. I need that too. DCU and her movie is the last chance. It's not the last chance, NJ. Let's not go that far. So let's go with this. So I'm going to make a poll, and you guys can vote on what you guys want for the next episode. So let's do this. So we'll do, for one. Actually, not doing anything. I got to do a poll. Okay, start a poll. So we'll go with Steve Orlando, Tamaki, Superman, Wonder Woman, New 52. I can talk about that. And we can also do Although, if we remember the Doomsday Cloak, Manhattan accidentally created magic as a glitch in the universe, and Doomsday Clock. Superman is the central link in the universe. The accidentally infected him with him. That could be something there. And then we can also go with Children of the Gods. That's a good one. Rebirth, Children of the Gods. That's one of the good Rebirth Wonder Woman runs. A story. It's a story arc, but it's like really good. So here's the poll. Next week topic. Here you guys go. So check that out. So I put that in there. Wonder Woman blocking the God Killer with her bare hands or the minor injury was insane durability feat. Yes, it was. It was really great. So the poll is in there on YouTube. See if you guys want to vote on what the next week's run that we're going to be discussing. I have some options there. So go ahead and check that out. And let me know what you guys want to see me cover. Because in Superman Wonder Woman, it's going to be primarily on the Wonder Woman side of that story in terms of like what that run does well. Because Charles Soule is like one of the best comic writers like ever, I think. And Steve Orlando is also underrated in my opinion in terms of like what he did, particularly in the 4 Horsewomen arc, which is what I will be discussing. Tamaki introduced like Maxwell Lord's daughter, so there was that. That was really good. Do you want doing what I think that they work well for the story they're in, but if they wanted to bring that character back, if DC wanted to use that character, I'd be like, okay, I can kind of see the potential there. Yeah, I would say so. Don't want to overcomplicate it, but I think that if they wanted to do that, yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all. I really wouldn't be. If what Children of the Gods, that's the one where they really expand on Jason, Wonder Woman's brother, and have Grail be the main antagonist where she's killing gods to power up Darkseid. So that's basically the plot of that. So let me know what you guys think. Because so far it's 50. So if you haven't voted, please go ahead and do that. And then because it'll be decided soon. And then if it stays 50-50, I'll flip a coin and then we'll pick one. Because again, either of these is fine with me because I like it. So it's like all those stories I enjoy. All right, so I'll pull up the coin flip app in case. I want another team up with other guys like Kathina, Hestia, Aphrodite. Yeah, me too. That'd be great. Steve Orlando is pulled ahead. All right. You guys are doing good. You guys are making your voices heard. I appreciate that. All right. So we're almost done with the poll. So unless you guys want to, I'll give you guys 10 more seconds to vote. The poll's on the YouTube, and then we'll wrap up. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are going to be discussing Steve Orlando next week. Is going to be the Wonder Woman run that we will be discussing. So we're going to do Steve Orlando, and that's a really fun run as well. So there's like a lot, though. We have a lot of really good stuff. And that one, the first couple of issues that really deal with like Wonder Woman's empathy and her ability to see the good in people. And you guys will really dig that, I think. So let's wrap up. So for those of you, essentially, damn you, just get back and doing laundry, missed the poll. Oh, it's all good. We're going to be talking about like a great life. Thanks, Leeway. And so we're going to be talking still I want to see Orlando. Well, you won. So there you go. So in terms of like Comics League, be sure to check out my Britton Mize interview with Jason Lewis from Justice League Action. It was a great interview on his thoughts on Superman as a character and his relationship with Wonder Woman. What makes Wonder Woman great? It's really good. And for Wonder Woman Wednesday, I'm thinking of doing a video analyzing the actual mythological Amazons and like exposing the truth behind that. For Under Two Capes, Robert and I are going to be discussing the Alien Avengers event. For movie night, we're going to be discussing Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Cut. And for Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to be comparing Superman and Wonder Woman to Rogue and Gambit. So we're going back to the X-Men for our comparisons. So stay heroic, everyone. Remember Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs at the bottom of a hydraulic press. Zois and Maxabat for life. I shall see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye. Oh, and also in about an hour, I will be having Dolan Waddick on the show, friend of the channel, to talk about his indie comic book. So be sure to check that out. Anyway.